Welcome along to Betting Weekly Premier League Show. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Nigel, another brilliant round of selections from Jack and your good self in midweek. We're flying. We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, very much so. Good morning to you both. This is the time of year that I do all right. I sort of really bad in the first 3 months historically. Then I come quite good in the Christmas period when the games come fast and furious. I think, you want to be with players and teams that are bigger and squads that are better. I think you just find a lot of favourites win a lot more at this time of year. And then I sort of go back to revert to norm through the spring months. And then,
dry January.
Dry. And then when we get to the end of the season, when you have to put your thinking head on and you have to start thinking about motivation players, that's when I kick on again. So it's it's the season split into 4 parts for me. And hopefully at the moment we're going through a good part.
Liverpool might just be, Jack, heading for a bit of a blip. We don't know. It was just a draw in midweek, but it was a pulsating one at Newcastle, and both of you boys suggested that there could be a slip, so hats off to that as well. Liverpool are now minus 134 to win the Premier League, with Arsenal plus 225 and City 6-1. I mean, are we tempted with savers on City? How do we see it after the midweek round?
Well, firstly, good morning, gents. Good morning, everybody. And thanks, Dan, for grouping me in. We had a good week. That was all Nigel's work, really, to be fair. That one.
It's a team. We are a team. We are a team. We win together. We lose together.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. As far as that one's concerned, look, it's a tough game for Liverpool, and they didn't play that well again, did they? But they managed to get a point at Newcastle. Not the worst result at the end of the day, and they've obviously got that buffer. Looking at the odds, again, Arsenal looked like the only play there, really, to be fair. I wouldn't be taking them. So I think we're all on them at the start of the season. So that's where we're hoping that's going to ride out. But I think Liverpool will be, given the performance, be relatively pleased with a point, although obviously it was a very late goal and an error from the goalkeeper that cost them all 3.
Not tempted 6-1 save a City, Nigel?
No. I mean, they've got some big games coming up in the Premier League in the next couple of fixtures, which we'll come on to a little bit later. But no, I'm just hoping against Nottingham Forest doesn't really. I think Arsenal. I'd keep pressing Arsenal personally, but we'll see how we go.
Plus 225 at the minute, Arsenal for the title. We'll get into Arsenal's game at Fulham shortly. We've got 10 predictions, of course, for you when it comes to the Premier League slate. A reminder of the boys' profit and loss on screen. Over the course of the 2 shows, of course, we're in profit. We're inching towards profit when it comes to the Premier League show. Really good last few weeks from the boys. Tag us in at Because We Win has some really good feedback on the YouTube comments, as per usual. We're always on hand to give us our thoughts on your plays and vice versa, of course. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And if you want the Betting Weekly newsletter, plenty of original picks, some really good content from all of the team. bettingweeklystudios.com. Sign up. It's in your inbox every single week. We're going to start this week with a Merseyside derby here. Everton against Liverpool. 7:30 a.m. Saturday, Eastern. Liverpool are minus 230. Everton are 6-1. Now, it's probably going to be the last ever Goodison Park derby. It will be in terms of league play. You never know, they could get drawn in the FA Cup, but that'd be a bit of a long shot. Nigel, for me, I don't take too much interest when it comes to, tough places to go, atmosphere, and so on and so forth when it comes to betting. But this is going to be unbelievable if you're an Everton fan. Last ever Merseyside derby. It's going to be something special for those that populate the Gladys Street. And it could be a factor here, couldn't it? I mean, Everton are big off the back of a really big win in midweek as well.
I think it is a factor. I really do. They're plus 600 to win this match, which I think is a big price. My only worry for this match is that it's an early kickoff. I think this match should have been a night game underneath the floodlights. The late game with the TV cameras on. And I think Everton under the lights would be a very, very different proposition. But it's an early kickoff. I don't like it. But also early kickoffs are pretty good for anyone who wants to oppose favourites. A lot of favourites get beaten these early kickoffs. Obviously, Liverpool have got a big European Champions League match. Well, not big. They're going to qualify for the Champions League. The knockout stage are away at Girona in midweek, which is a big match for them. But I think they've got the luxury here to go all out. It's not like it's Real Madrid at home. The Spanish opposition in midweek is a lot less quality than what they have in the last few weeks. But I give Everton a real chance here for the reasons you said there. The last Merseyside derby. And you look at Everton. I know Sean Dyche is a man under pressure. And I've said it before about Everton. Their statistics and they're not great on the XG, but they're very, very hard to beat. I mean, if you look at I think the last 11 matches, they've only lost 2 games. One of them was a heavy defeat against Manchester United in their last road match. And then they went to Southampton and lost as well. But at Goodison Park, they don't get beat. Very, very rarely do they get beat. They got beat on the opening day of the season against Brighton. Then they had that crazy game against Bournemouth where they were, was it 2-1 up or 2-0 up? And then Bournemouth scored 2 goals in the 90th minute. Should have won that. But since then, they haven't lost a match at home in the Premier League. They drew Newcastle 0-0, which was a good result. Last time out, they drew with Brentford. So 0-0 again. I do think this will be quite tight because Liverpool, this is a Merseyside derby, there's a lot at stake. I do think there could be bookings. It's the most fiery match on the Premier League calendar. If you go look through the statistics in this match, no match has ever seen more red cards in the Premier League than this fixture. So there is bookings. But if you go back through history as well, Everton have got a very, very good record against Liverpool in this fixture at Goodison Park. Liverpool have only won once in the last 7 meetings at Goodison Park, and this is the last ever match. Everton coming on the back of a 4-0 win. And if you look at Liverpool on the road, they're gettable. They've conceded 9 goals in their last 4 road matches. Now, I'm not saying that Everton have got the strike power to score 3 or more past them, but I think this is a lot closer than odds suggest here. Minus 225 Liverpool. I said it on the midweek show that I thought Liverpool would drop points this set of fixtures at Newcastle and Liverpool, and I expect Liverpool to drop fixtures here. I'm going to go with Everton on the Asian handicap plus 1.25 at minus 125. The only way we can lose this bet is if Liverpool win by 2 goals or more, and Everton do not get beat by 2 goals or more. I think if you look at their record this season, the only time that has happened in the Premier League was in the opening day against Brighton. All the matches since, they have never been beaten by more than 2 goals. So I expect it to be close. I expect it to be fiery. I expect it to be a lot of passion. And I think Everton would love nothing more than to put a big dent into Liverpool's title hopes. So Everton plus 1.25 at minus 125.
Yeah, that home record key, definitely. Jack, what you got for us?
Yeah, just touching on Nigel's point there about the cards, I totally agree with that one. For those that can play that, Michael Oliver's the referee, is averaging 5 cards per game so far this season. Seems to have been a bit more keen to get his cards out than before. So yeah, that one looks a play. I haven't checked the lines on that for obvious reasons for us, but yeah, look into that one if you can. But I've gone with I think this will be quite tight as well, and I've gone with under goals in this one, under 3 Asian total, which is at minus 129. Last night, where Everton suddenly found 4 goals, was only the second of their 7 home games this season where this bet would have lost. And weirdly for a side, Nigel's touched on it, best defensive record in the league, but they've been a bit leaky away from home of Liverpool. Lots of goals recently on their road games, but I feel this derby real tight. Say early kickoff as well in the UK. I just think this is going to be a real kind of tight, cagey, fiery affair as well. So not a lot in it, and I like Nigel's play with the Everton on that plus handicap, but. Liverpool got the most clean sheets in the league with 7. Everton aren't far behind with 5. They're joint third. And I just feel that this will be a low scorer. So taking that 3 Asian total, there needs to be 4 goals in this one for it not to come. But and this the last 5 games across both venues have not seen more than 2 goals. So under 3 for me.
Just to say, Dan, this is I didn't say in the pick, this is actually one of my official plays. It's a 1 unit play.
What you play. Yeah.
So I didn't mention that when I gave the preview. So Everton plus 1.25, minus 125 is the official pick for me.
It's a 1 you play. We mentioned that. 2 you play, Nigel, for you is Villa against Southampton here. This is 10 a.m. First of the 3 o'clock kickoffs we're going to look at here. Villa suddenly have reverted to the sort of prices they were last season, Nigel, here at home. They're minus 250 against Southampton, who just can't buy a result or buy a little bit of luck at the minute. They're 6-1 away at Villa here, and your 2 you play again. You're leaning on that Asian line for Villa here to strike again with your 2 you.
Yeah, going to go for Villa minus 1.25, minus 118. We saw a huge move on Chelsea minus 1.25 against Southampton on the road, which was the 4 unit play in midweek, and that cashed easy in a 5-1 victory. I mean, it was just embarrassment, the defending from Southampton. We mentioned the goalkeeper, Joanna Lumley. Absolutely diabolical performance from him as well. Mistake after mistake. They're conceding goals. The manager's not changing the way they're playing. They're going toe to toe with these guys, and their heavyweight boxer going to knock him out in the first 30 seconds in these matches. They conceded so early against Chelsea. Chelsea had the luxury of resting players as well, brought in some squad players and just took them to the cleaners. They're by far the worst team in the Premier League, Southampton. Defensively, they're a shambles, and I just think Villa here on the back of a big win. I know they hadn't won in 8. But a big win that is against Brentford. I know Brentford have their problems on the road compared to home, but they're a decent side, and Villa played well. Ollie Watkins got back on the score sheet, which is crucial for Aston Villa. He hadn't scored in 4 matches prior to that, and I think they're going to easily win this. I can't see any reason why they can't. My only worry about it, and it's a concern when you're betting Villa in these matches, is because they've got the Champions League match against Leipzig on Tuesday, where they have to go to Germany. That would probably be a little bit of a worry, and that could be the only reason why I would be concerned about this wager. We've said that Villa may drop it in the Premier League and go all out. Well, they might drop it in the Premier League and go all out for the Champions League, but not every week do you have the opportunity to play Southampton. So I think that Villa here will be far too strong at home. Their home form has been pretty solid. I mean, they got beat by Crystal Palace in the League Cup, but at home this season, they've only lost once prior to that, and that was against Arsenal in a 2-0 win, and they were a much better side in that match as well. They've beaten Bayern Munich at home. They've drawn with Juventus in the Champions League, and they should have far too much against Southampton. I would expect Emery to rest a few players with that crucial Champions League match on Tuesday, but this is a poor Southampton side against a Villa side that historically over the last 2 seasons have been exceptionally at home, very, very hard, and only the big boys do get the win here. So, yeah, I'm going to go for Villa, -1.25. We lose half the bet if they win by 1, and we win our full bet if they win by 2. It's a market that I played twice in midweek with heavy favourites, and both of them covered it easy. And I think this Southampton side are a side that you've got to repose on these markets because they concede so many goals.
And if Villa are going to play well, you'd like to think that their main man is going to contribute as well. As Nigel points out, Jack, there could be some squad rotation, but when it comes to Ollie Watkins, a little bit of a barren run, got on the score sheet with a penalty, of course, in midweek. You'd like to think that he's going to stay in here because he's your man for your play here. Just a lean from you.
Just a lean, yeah. I've gone with a prop in this one just to sort of mix it up a little bit. We obviously don't really put them forward as official plays on here, but I've gone with him to have over 1.5 shots on target at -103. And I expect him to start, but I reckon I think Villa will put this game to bed and then he'll come off maybe just after the hour mark, something like that. But yeah, I've said before with Southampton, we've said it, like they are unravelling totally. And what they struggle with is these vibrant attacks. And I watched the Chelsea game last night and it could have been double that. They were terrible and they just continue to play that way. They just continue to try and play out from the back through the defensive lines, and they get caught out. And especially when you've got a side that have got energetic strikers, energetic forward players, and there's not many more energetic than Watkins. So he'll have a big game in this one, I feel. So yeah, Lumley, if he's still in, I don't know what they're going to do. He made a couple of saves, but he was probably at fault for that first one. Definitely at fault for the second one, and there's no confidence in him at all. So as far as Watkins, we know he's a little bit of a streak striker, isn't he? I think it was 7 in a row he scored last season. He's another one of those, but he's not quite hit that this season so far. But this is a brilliant opportunity for him to get 2 in a row, start a sequence. And what is clear is he's getting chances. He had 7 shots on target across his last 3 Premier League games, with 2 or more in each of those, and he's had 2 or more in 5 of his last 7. So he ain't going to get a better chance than against his Southampton shambolic defence. So over 1.5 shots on target for me for Watkins.
+102 to score at any time, incidentally. Ollie Watkins in that game. Villa against Southampton. Let's rattle through some leans for the other 3 p.m. games on Saturday UK, 10 a.m. Eastern. Of course, Brentford, Newcastle first up. Nigel, bit of a conundrum for bettors maybe because Brentford are brilliant at home, awful away, but Newcastle, after that draining, an inspirational point really against Liverpool in midweek, some might want to side with, but the odds maybe are a little bit counterintuitive here. What you got for us lean-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite surprised that Newcastle are overwhelming favourites for this match.
Yeah,
+135, Brentford +185. We know that Brentford have got the best home record in the Premier League, as you touched there. They've got the worst road record. It's a complete reverse. 6 wins, 1 draw, no losses, no 1-6 the other way. High scorers at home as well, 22 goals. Goals galore in this side. They're fast starters. But Newcastle, I think they're underperforming. I think they're a side that are really, really have got the potential to do a lot better. You don't know really that anyhow side may take some galvanise their performances from the back of that Liverpool match. But I do think on the prices here that Brentford are possibly a bet on the money line, plus 185. But I think the draw is a big factor here. Newcastle have got goals in them. I wouldn't put anyone looking at goals as well, but I'm leaning towards Brentford on the draw no bet market and plus 110. My only worry is that Brentford do struggle against the top teams, and even though they're in a sort of a lowly 7th place or 8th place in the Premier League at the moment, Newcastle, I still consider them to be one of the better teams in the division. So a lean for Brentford on the draw no bet with the guarantee of a push if the match was a draw, and you're getting plus money with that guarantee of the draw as well. So I'm opposing Newcastle at the odds, but it wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle did win. But at these current odds, they're worth opposing.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, you sent me your lean sort of overnight, but they've drifted quite a lot, Brentford. But you still think they might be worth a bit of a punt here?
Yeah, well, yeah, the tide, the double chance comes as a massive play now. But I, with that, it was plus 163 last night, wasn't it? So that was my lean, Brentford to win. I gave them a chance away from home. That was wrong. But obviously I gave Newcastle a chance with that double chance against Liverpool. So I got that one right at least. But yeah, I just feel that they're such a weird side, Brentford. How can they be so bad away but so really good at home? And they score goals for fun at home as well. And it's not as if they're suited to that sort of play. They can play well on the counter-attack. You'd think they'd be a good away side, but it's just not happening. It's so weird how contrasting their results are. So, yeah, I've gone with them as a lean on this one. I just think for Newcastle, they have been a little bit underperforming generally. They lifted the game at home against one of the big boys, the league leaders. I just wonder if it's going to be a little bit of a dip off here. Quite a quick turnaround. There'll be recovery day today, a light training day tomorrow, and then I've obviously got to get down from Newcastle to London. So for a Saturday game. So I just feel that there could be a little bit of a downside. They've also got a few players that are a little bit injury prone, and a quick turnaround like that's not ideal for them. So yeah, I thought at the prices it's definitely worth taking Brentford on in some respect. I've gone on the money line for my play.
Yeah, just a lean, really. It's that home record that really perks the interest, no doubt about that. And quickly on Palace Man City, if we can. A City back now, Nigel, 4-0 win over Forest in midweek. I mean, again, you look at the prices, they're minus 186 to win this game. They were a lot shorter over the last few years. Should we just be lumping on City at prices that we just haven't seen for such a long time?
Well, they were. I think prior to that match, I think prior to the match last night, I think they were minus 136 to win.
Crikey.
I think prior to last night, I think because I spoke about it on the dojo with Neil Channing, and I'd looked at the odds. I think they were minus 136. They win 3-0, and they're minus 186. So that shows you the move.
But last year, they're minus 286.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone's good. I still think there's problems. I don't think a 3-0 win against Nottingham Forest is everyone thinks, oh well, this is side or back. No, I think they've still got problems. Crystal Palace are very hard to beat at home. They make it difficult for you. Very, very low scoring, Crystal Palace. Their matches this season have been very low scoring. 6 matches at home this season, 5 of them under 2.5 goals in the Premier League. And Man City here, I know they won 4-2 last year, but historically this match doesn't produce many goals. If you look at the 4 before that, under 2.5. I've been to this picture a couple of times, and Palace, City have sort of won it 2-0 with late goals in the match in the second half. I remember Yaya Toure being unbelievable in one of these fixtures a few years back, and City winning 2-0. So I think this might be quite close. Big matches coming up for Man City. Juventus away this next midweek, Manchester Derby, and then Aston Villa away. And I think that's when we know whether they're back in the title race. A win against Nottingham Forest, I'm not convinced by that at all. They have been shortened. There has been a little bit of a rebase on their prices, but I think that this will be a tough test. I think Man City will probably edge it, maybe 1 or 2-0. But I'd be leaning towards under 2.5 goals here, which is plus 125.
Jack, similar theme from you, ish?
Yeah, under 2.75, minus 106, just a lean. Not many goals in Palace games, especially at home. 9 of 14, got under 2.5 this season. 6 of 7 at Selhurst Park. City back, De Bruyne back makes a massive difference for them. How much involvement will he have in this one? The game's coming thick and fast. We know his injury problems. Haaland's still not firing yet. So, yeah, under 2.75 I thought was a nice play at minus 106.
We're looking at unders. Palace against City. I think City minus 186 could be one of the bets of the weekend. We'll see. Saturday, 12:30, Manchester United against Nottingham Forest. It's the tea time game in the UK here. United minus 175. They're favourites. Amarin factor into that price. I think Forest at plus 450. I don't know what you made of United recently, Nigel, but for me, they are just a team to completely steer clear of from a betting point of view because Ruben Amorim just seems to be rotating just to see what his players are like. It's like it's a pre-season tour. He took Rashford out when he'd been scoring goals. He took Ahmad out when he was probably United's best player. It's like he wants to look at everyone. I get that, but this is schooling in public, Nigel, you know?
Yeah, it was very nice of you to stick your neck out and go for minus 186 bets for a bet of the weekend. It's very brave, very, very brave.
Well,
very,
I was going to say
brave.
that City
No, it's
treats
really
on in
good,
midweek
honestly.
was my best bet.
That's the kind of content thousands of people watch this show for. To tip up Man City at Crystal Palace minus 186. That's why we pay you the big bucks, Dan. That's brilliant. Brilliant insight. Anyway, let's go on to the Manchester game here. I mean, you can look at...
1-1 incoming.
You look at Manchester United, but I think they're a different proposition at home. I think he's experimenting against an Arsenal side. They were minus $3 favourites. He knew last night that he probably can't win that match. It's just a rebuilding process, and it's at home where he's got to get the fans happy. And Man United at home this season have done not bad. They've only lost 2 matches in 12 in all competitions, which was against Liverpool and Tottenham. You know, the Tottenham game was a disappointment. Liverpool, you could expect to lose at Liverpool. But, I mean, I think Man United will win. I'm not going to be as brave as you and say they're one of my best bets of the weekend at minus 165. I'll leave them kind of very heavy favourites to you. But I do think I think you're going to see I think you'll see a very different performance from Manchester United at home, as you saw from their last home match where they produced their best performance of the season. We saw under Van Nistelrooy that their home performances were gun-ho, much more attack-minded. They've got to please 72,000 fans or 75,000 fans who go to Old Trafford every week. That is the most important thing. You know, the performances on the road aren't as important as at home. And you look at Man United on the road, they're very similar to Brentford. They haven't won since September on the road, but at home they've only lost a couple of times this season. So I think Man United win this match. I think they probably cover the spread. But I'm going for the hot dog, and I'm going for that man, Rashford, to score at any time. I said to you last week that I'd probably be using this play as the season went on these runs. I think it's a good time to get with him. I think Man United scored goals at home. They scored 4 in the last match. They scored 3 in the match before. They scored 5 in the match before that. Very, very different side. Their approach is to go all-out attack. I think Rashford will return to the starting 11. I think he'll be the main threat for them. I think he'll play up top. And we're talking about players. If you look at matches where you've got heavy money favourites, so you mentioned Ollie Watkins there. Then Villa are minus 265. Watkins is the main striker. He's even money to score. You've got Aston, Man City on the road, minus 186. Their strikers are minus 130 to score any time. Man United minus 165, a very, very good home record, and their main striker is plus 205 to score at any time. I think it's a little bit disrespectful for a man who's in form. Scored 2 goals in their last home win. Scored in the Champions League. He scored the first goal under Amorim as well. He's played twice under the boss and scored 3 goals when he started. We know he's a street player. We've done all that before. Rashford plus 205 is my hot dog to score any time, and I expect Man United to win by at least 2 goals in this match.
Jack, what do you think? United versus Forest.
Yeah, you're definitely desperate to avoid the Christmas edition of the Roebuck T-shirt coming out. I know that. I can see that where you're going there. But yeah, it's a little bit of a public trial, isn't it?
Go
on. It's a bit of a public trial because his games are coming thick and fast. He's got midweek games, weekend games, isn't he, with the European tournaments as well. So it's a bit like he's doing training drills in actual games, and it seemed last night was a little bit like he was doing a defensive process, seeing what his defensive capabilities were within the squad. So I thought the first half they kept Arsenal pretty much at arm's length without threatening anything themselves. And then obviously got undone by a couple of set pieces. Didn't really offer much going forward, but this will be a different game, certainly, especially at home. So I've gone with both teams to score no here. It's plus 102. I think Forest are pretty toothless. They've been relying on Chris Wood, and we've seen them that they've been doing enough to get the job done against the lesser lights, but when they come up against the better sides in the division, especially away from home, they struggle to score. And I think that could well be the case in this one. So yeah, plus money, plus 102. Both teams to score no.
A couple of plus money plays from the boys. A little bit too big for my liking, but there you go. Let's get on to the Sunday slate, shall we, here? Because we've got some picks from Jack, some official picks from Jack. We're going to kick off with Leicester versus Brighton first up, which is Sunday 9 a.m. Leicester are 4-1, Brighton are minus money. My sort of price at minus 162 here. Jack, you've got your 2-unit play in this one. Leicester got lucky, didn't they, last time out? What are you thinking here against Brighton?
Yeah, lucky Leicester, unlucky me, because obviously I was siding with West Ham that night, and possibly that disallowed goal was the turning point. It would have made it 1-1. Maybe they'd have kicked on, but yeah, how many chances? 31 shots, wasn't it? So you can't keep giving those chances away in the Premier League and go unpunished. They got away with it that time. Obviously, Ruud's been brought in to try and bring more attacking play to Leicester. Cooper was more of a defensive, pragmatic manager. They obviously want to see something a bit more flamboyant, especially at home, and you would expect him to do that. For them, attacking-wise, obviously Vardy was probably no surprise that Mr. Trick there. I think that he was going to be the one that scored the opening goal in his reign. But Daka back and scoring is a big boost for them. They've actually got a bit of youth sort of in the side, other than Ayew and Vardy now. So they've got threats going forward. They didn't create too much, but they were very clinical, took their chances, didn't they? So, but I just feel this is a very open game, a very attacking game. Obviously, Brighton play tonight at the time of recording. So, yeah, it's we don't know what they're going to do tonight. But generally, across the scape so far this season, these sides have seen goals across their games. 70% of these sides' games this season have seen at least 3 goals in them, which obviously gets us a push here. And the key element, we always say, if you're backing overs, is that you want both sides to come to the party. You want sides that score goals. You want sides that concede goals. And therefore, we look at the both teams to score market. And 12 of Leicester's 14 games this season, 10 of Brighton's 13 have seen both teams score. That's 81%. So that obviously helps this bet very much so. Leicester's last 10 games have seen 40 goals. Doesn't take much to work out. That's 4 per game. 6 wins, 2 pushes and 2 losses. So a decent record for winning this bet. And Brighton's last 11 have seen 41. So just under the 4 mark, 3.73. 6 wins, 3 pushes and 2 losses as well. And as you said, it's all about sides that can score and concede. Leicester won Premier League clean sheet this season, but only failed to score once. And Brighton, 1 clean sheet in the last 11, but scored in all of those. So it just seems that we've got 2 will be attacking sides here. Front foot, lots of to and fro, I'd imagine, in this one. And yeah, I can just see this being a pretty high scoring game. So over 3 Asian total for me in this one at minus 118.
And that is Jack's 2-unit play. All the numbers, Nigel, all the metrics point to lots of goals. You weighing in? We're having another wager. Is this one that's on your shortlist to have a bet with your lean? What do you think?
Yeah, I've gone exactly the same. I mean, I was cursing myself not cashing on the over 3.5 in the Leicester West Ham game, and then they scored 2 right at the end to make me go over. It should have been done after 45 minutes. Yeah. The amount of opportunities they had. 31 shots conceded, an awful amount of conceded. Van Nistelrooy was really, really attack-minded in his brief spell at Manchester United. It was quite entertaining football. And I think that's what Leicester want. If they're going to go down, they're going to go down fighting and entertaining. And I think Leicester season ticket holders are going to be in for a very exciting second half of the season. I think they could be the over Kings. They're up against the Brighton side, who've always been the over Kings and both teams to score. I don't think the line has reacted as quickly as it should do. I still think 3 at a push is minus 118 is a touch of value. It was definitely on my short list. It didn't make my official plays, but I probably will bet that over 3 at minus 118, and I especially will so now that Jack has said it. So, yeah, I do fancy goals. If you look at I know it's not a very, change of personnel and manager, but when they met in 2022-23 season, which was a couple of seasons ago in the Premier League, their 2 matches scored, there was 11 goals in their 2 matches. So, in recent history between the 2 of them, there's been lots of goals. I think it was 2-2 and a 5-2 win as well. So, goals galore in this match historically. Goals galore at the moment, and over 3 at minus 118 with the push. I agree with Jack, is the bet.
Yeah, I must admit, I don't mind historical stats as long as, the teams are roughly in the same sort of place and roughly, not just in terms of position, but where they are in their ambition, because you can lock in some sort of meaning when it comes to those games. So I don't mind that historical stat for the last few years.
I like him because it fills 30 seconds. The content when you're struggling.
Use them when it works.
When you're struggling, when you're really struggling, you've got one match you can
rock
fill.
Out head-to-head stat.
Yeah, you can always rock out head-to-head stat. Just gives you 40 seconds to just get your brain free for the next one. Brilliant.
We always run out of time, mainly because you two go on for so long. Anyway, let's get to Ipswich Bournemouth, because this is another 9 a.m. Sunday game. And we've got Jack's hot dog here. So let's get the big price runner from Jack. We're dipping into the goal scorer market here, Jack, for a player who I think is a bit of a special talent, isn't he, this kid?
I think so, yeah, and I think he's adapted quite quickly to the Premier League. Had a little bit of a sticky start. It's only to be expected, but he's starting to shine now. Really is. And I like this. It's Evan Nielsen to score at plus 215, and I like the trend in this one, which I'll come on to in a moment. But yeah, he's had a run of 3 goals, or scored in each of his 3 Premier League games. He then blanked in the last 2, but he did win 3 penalties for his side in that last win against Wolves. So I think he's obviously showcasing his talents across the board and his threat that he's got. Again, he's another player that will be playing tonight after we've recorded this. So hopefully he'll get on the score sheet again. But yeah, for me, he's obviously up against an Ipswich side here that are struggling. They are finding it very tough in the Premier League, as to be expected, to be fair. And I think what we've seen is that they aren't conceding loads of goals, but when they are conceding, they seem to be conceding to the opposition's main man, the striker, the goal scorer. So they generally aren't conceding a lot. They've only conceded 1 in each of their last 5. But when you look at who scored the goals in those 5, it's quite enlightening. During the week, Mateta scored for Palace in that 1-0 win. Chris Wood scored for Nottingham Forest in that 1-0 win. Rashford scored for Man United in a 1-1 draw. Obviously, Spurs ended that run with Bentancur scoring for them. Trust them. And Ayew, albeit he was on as a sub, scored a last-minute goal in a 1-1 draw. Before that, Wissa got 2 goals for Brentford. Antonio scored for West Ham. And Watkins scored for Villa. And that's all in the last 9 games. So you can see a high percentage of central strikers, main men, getting on the score sheet. Evan Nielsen is the main man here. And I expect Semenyo back in this side to supply the ammunition, because Ipswich are a little bit vulnerable down their left-hand side. So, but Evan Nielsen to score, my hot dog at plus 215.
Love that. Interesting angle when it comes to the main men of the opposition, giving Ipswich a bit of trouble. I just thought, Nigel, Bournemouth at plus money might look a little bit big here. Are we still behind the curve with Bournemouth?
I think they're probably the bet for you, but I think I'm going for under 2.5 goals at plus 115. That would be my bet here. I'm quite surprised that the under was the favourite, and I know that Bournemouth are considered a very, very high scoring side, but most of their best work is done at home, as we've said many times in this show. Ipswich have really been very negative in their approach. I mean, Leicester have gone all out gun-ho to try to stay in the Premier League and entertain, whereas Ipswich have been totally the opposite. They've been trying to grind out 1-0s, nick 0-0s, 1-1 draws. They're not good enough from an attacking perspective, and they're trying to be strong defensively. 7 matches at home this season, and Ipswich matches in the Premier League, 6 of them have been under 2.5 goals, including matches against Liverpool in that period as well. Bournemouth away, hasn't been that great. They have scored a few goals. A bit of a contrasting styles here, but I think when you get a contrasting 2 styles, I always like to go with the unders more than the overs, because I think you do need both sides to contribute if you're betting on the overs. So I don't really expect it to contribute too much here. So at the prices, I just thought under 2.5 was the better option at plus 115. Bournemouth at plus 110. Yeah, you could like make a small case for them, but on the road, I don't know. I wouldn't trust them at that kind of price. At home against the big boys, I think they've got opportunity, and obviously we don't know what they've done going into this match against Tottenham. So yeah, under 2.5 goals plus 115, I would take as a lean.
Yeah, just a caveat, and the boys have mentioned it already. We're recording Thursday lunchtime, a couple of Premier League games tonight. Fulham against Arsenal, the next game we can tackle on Sunday, 9 a.m. Fulham plus 500 here, Nigel. Arsenal minus 195. The latest prices have been bet just a little bit here after that win over Manchester United. This is the fixture that cost Arsenal the title last season. There's no doubt about that. They were 1 up. They got beat 2-1 at Craven Cottage. And you could argue they're up against a better Fulham side. There's 1 or 2 metrics that put Fulham on expected points in 4th at the moment in the Premier League. I don't know if they're the 4th best team in England, but they're decent. 5-1, or are we playing Arsenal? What do we think?
I wouldn't play anything on the money line.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't. I mean, you could say that for this, Fulham are a lot better, but I would argue that Arsenal are playing the best football they've done. As I said before, I think that these last 4 matches, Arsenal have been sensational. I like the fact that Arsenal are chasing a target rather than leading. I think they get what's the old Alex Ferguson phrase? Was it squeaky bum time when they're leading? When they're chasing, I think they're a very, very different proposition. So I quite like Arsenal. I wouldn't bet them at -186. I know I leave that kind of price to you, Dan. But I've gone for another angle here. I think Fulham will score. I think both teams will score in this match. I think Arsenal. Look at Arsenal's road matches in recent weeks. I mean, 5-2 at West Ham, 5-1 at Sporting, 1-1 at Chelsea. It's like loads of goals, loads of entertainment, and conceding goals, which is very much unlike Arsenal. So I've gone for both teams to score. Yes, if you look at Craven Cottage this season for Fulham, every single match at home this season, both teams have scored. They've cashed it. It's been a yes. If you look at this fixture historically, again, if you like your history, fill another 40 seconds. Six of the last 8 between these two sides have seen both teams to score a yes as well. I think Fulham are a much more attack-minded side now. Smith Rowe, obviously, they bought from Arsenal's been an exceptional player. I think he gives them a little bit of extra spice going forward. They've got striker in form. They've got players in form. They've got goal scorers from all over the pitch. So I think Fulham will score, but I would expect Arsenal to score more. I'm liking a sort of an Arsenal 2-1, 3-1 win here. But I'm going to go for both teams to score yes at -134.
People knew the amount of work I put up to the running order to make sure that these two stick to time. It's unbelievable. And getting thrown out an extra 30 seconds. Nigel goes for both teams to score and reference a former Arsenal player. Jack, you like a different former Arsenal player to maybe have a good game.
I do. I found this one very tough to call on the main lines, other than possibly putting some coins across every single Arsenal defender to score, or Rice to assist at +460, or Saka to assist at +270. There's your options. But do you know what? So it's a tough one. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to give a shout out to our YouTube community. And a guy, I can't remember who it was now, put a comment in for tonight's fixture, actually, about Alex Iwobi, the former Arsenal player, to have a shot on target, which he's done consistently. For playing tonight, he's had a shot on target in each of his last 5. He's obviously up against his former club here, and he's at +150 to do so again in this one, which I think which should be an open game. I think that's a good runner. But we've had some superb shouts, haven't we, across either the live shows. There was a 3-3 call last night.
That was incredible.
Brilliant stuff. So.
He said that the guy, his name was Crouchy 23, and he said that the banker was 3-3 in Liverpool v Newcastle. Now, Jack, I know you're not well and you might not be back next week, so we're going to introduce Crouchy 23 as our new Premier League handicapper. Thanks for
assuming that is Jack. Peter Crouch. You're going to have to lengthen the screen a little bit.
I'm trying to find out. I saw that Alex Iwobi one. I can't remember who did it now. It was Raxpack on our YouTube comments. Raxpack, who said Alex Iwobi shot on target, or maybe even 2 shots on target. He's won.
Some superb shouts.
Yeah,
let luck be a lady for Raxpack tonight.
Exactly. That's Fulham against. Just one thing that Nigel was mentioning: Gabriel and Calafiori both didn't play against Manchester United. I don't know if they're going to be out for Fulham, but it just leads into the sort of both teams to score thing. And also, Jack, as you just mentioned there, Rice and Saka both take corners here. Rice is double the price.
Yeah, +460. Yeah. So it's a big shout.
I mean, Saka's going to get more from open play. I get that, but it's probably one that not too many are looking at. We've got Jack on same game parlay duty next, which is Spurs Chelsea, and we're also going to look at West Ham Wolves as well. Same game parlay though, Jack. Spurs +175, Chelsea +140. Spurs playing tonight, but I mean Chelsea to me just look a bet, and I know that you've included Chelsea on the money line as part of your same game parlay this week.
Yeah, I'll rattle through this one. 3 legs to the same game parlay. Chelsea were going to be one of my picks. I didn't want to double dip. At plus money, I think they were a play, to be fair, +130. But I've added them as my first line. They generally dominate this fixture. They've been superb this season, haven't they? They've snuck up to second place, and I don't know how many people have realised that, but they are really playing well. I know it's against Southampton, who were giving them goals left, right and centre, but they did what they needed to do last night. Probably should have won that by about 7 or 8, but they take 5-1, and have just been superb, scoring goals for fun, top scorers in the league now, I believe, and just look absolutely brilliant under Maresca. 7 players rotated out of the side, in the side last night. Shows you the strength in depth that they've got to play with. And I say again, they looked superb, albeit against weak opposition. So I'm taking them on the money line as my first selection. The second selection is for over 10.5 corners. And this one is a favourite play when Spurs are playing. They take corners for fun. To be fair, only Man City have had more this season than Spurs, who averaged 9.5 themselves at home. And Chelsea are no mugs either. They rank 7th in away games, averaging exactly 6. It was 13 last time these two sides met. I think both contribute. I was going to go with just Spurs corners, given that I fancy Chelsea to obviously be in front. Game state plays a large part, but I thought I'd play it safe and combine them both. So over 10.5 corners. And then the man, Nicholas Jackson, to score. He was obviously rested last night. He must have been a little bit kind of gutted because it was a great opportunity for him to stick a few on his total, but he'll be fully rested for this one at the weekend. That was obviously the plan in place, and Kunku took his place, but I expect Jackson to come back in for this one. He loves playing Spurs. Their high line obviously suits him. He's got his pace to get in behind. Got a hat-trick in this game last season, excuse me. And he also scored in the reverse fixture as well. I'm going to wrap up really quickly now.
You're right,
8 goals for the season. He scored in each of the last 2 league games.
Jack,
Let's
worry.
go.
We know he still had to get out, didn't he? He still had to get out. We just take
Play
it
at
easy.
7:50.
He still had to get. He just took it easy.
There we
You know
go.
what? Do you know we it's our Christmas party tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, and you know, you get the list of people who have come in. We've got brackets around a few, and like ill, injury, the hamstring, you know, around half the squad too. We might have a few spots left. Plus,
Drop Nigel a DM if you like Celeriac.
yeah, plus
He's not coming.
plus 750 for the same game parlay. Give it a
Thanks,
rest,
Knight.
Jack.
I feel like
Come
I'm
on.
going to catch it, and I'm 500 miles away from you. I'm going to catch it.
Chelsea on the money line, over 10.5 corners in the game, and Nicholas Jackson to score plus 750 is the same game parlay.
That's what I meant.
Nigel, what do you like in this one? Give us a lean in Spurs. I mean, at first I'm thinking Chelsea plus 140, which what they are now is brilliant. Then I'm thinking, but Spurs,
Well,
when they're the outsiders, they can surprise you.
Yeah, this is the problem. You know, Tottenham are just so unpredictable. You can't really have an official play, and I guess that's why Jack sort of thought about Chelsea and took them out. They've actually drifted a little bit. They're now plus 140 with Bet Rivers. I just think whenever these two guys go to the pitch, you've got to go for goals. I mean, there's so much goals attacking threat from both sides, really. Tottenham's home record this season has been pretty good. I know they've had that embarrassment against Ipswich. Prior to that, it's been a good record. Chelsea have just been sensational. Over 3.5 goals, I thought, minus 103. I'm not really a better of over 3.5 goals, but in this match, I just can't see how there can't be goals. The way they both played last season, a 4-1 win to Chelsea in this fixture, they've got better. Tottenham have probably gone slightly back. One thing I will say, which I think is a brilliant bet, is I bet Chelsea to win the FA Cup yesterday, the day before yesterday. 8-1 it was, and Man City are 3-1. You're going to lose Arsenal or Man United. Liverpool are 5-1. Liverpool probably, well, they're really going to care too much about the FA Cup when they're going for the Premier League. And Chelsea's record is exceptional in the FA Cup. They've been drawn at home to Morecambe. I think it's a very, very good bet. Very wise of me, I think, to bet Chelsea at 8-1. So Chelsea at 8-1, I think is a great bet to win the FA Cup if you want to have a little bit of a future bet as well there.
Note that one down, Dan. Chelsea to beat Morecambe. That's one of you.
Yeah. Minus 1,500. we have got one Monday night fixture for you, which we're going to cover. West Ham against Wolves, Monday, 3 p.m. West Ham, round about even money, minus 105 at the minute. Wolves, plus 270. Draw, plus 270. We have got a one-unit play from Jack on this one, if he's still alive. And speaking of people who are alive, I mean, Messrs O'Neill and Lopetegui are dead men walking, aren't they? I mean, is there some sort of... I mean, by the time this goes out, both one might have got the sack.
That was what I was going to say. So before we go, that was my lead. I was going to say Bet Rivers should do a market. Is it 0, 1 or 2 of these managers in charge in this fixture? Sorry.
Jack, let's get the one-unit play out first. Come on.
Yeah, I wish I'd left all my plays to the end now. I should have gone earlier. But, yeah, I've gone with goals again in this one. Over 3 goal line for this particular bet. Plus 100, says my one-unit play. And I was going to start by saying, assuming that both managers in post here, not only will, if one lose the game, they're going to lose their job, aren't they? I saw the videos online of the fans giving what they thought to the performances over this week. Look, it could mean it's a cagey one, but I think it's going to be the other way. I think that they have got to go and win, because I think even like a tepid 0-0 or a real poor show, I don't think it could be enough to save their job. I think they've been so poor, and that they would look elsewhere. Obviously, there's managers already a bit swirling around as far as who's going to be replacing these guys. So I think they've got to go in and put a little bit of a statement win together. We've seen both of them do that. West Ham, of course, they beat Ipswich 4-1, and you thought, oh, that could be the turning point. But what I would say is that both sides just got so much attacking talent. I know West Ham missed a host of chances against Leicester, but when you look at who they've got to score, it's quite a sport riches, isn't it? It's Bowen, Kudus, Paquetá, Antonio as well, even Somerville, and I think a key thing for them, Fulkrug finally being fit, coming off the bench and scoring that consolation goal at the end. And obviously Nigel likes that because it cashed his overs bet there. And obviously, if all that else fails, they've got Craig Dawson, their old boy, who got a brace of own goals for the other night for Wolves. So if he could come up for them as well. But and look, we know what Wolves bring to the table as well. Cunha, Larson, they're a real threat. And the one thing you can be said about these two sides is that neither of them can defend. They've been awful. They've been atrocious in defensive areas. Wolves got the worst defence in the league, conceded 36 goals. But they have scored 22, which is the same as Aston Villa and Brighton. And West Ham aren't far behind with 27. Only Wolves have conceded more than their 15 at home. And they've only scored 3 less than Liverpool. So when you put those things into context, it does seem that there will be goals in this one. I think an early goal really sets this one up. If there is an early goal, then we know that that one of these sides who goes behind can't afford to lose. They're going to go for it and they'll open it right up. The longer it goes, it could become a bit cagey. But I have a sneaky feeling Mr. Seeley might go against that play. But we'll wait and see.
Nigel, what you got?
Over 3 goals.
Hello.
Very hard not to. Very hard not to.
Is it a bet for you, Nigel? Is this a bet? I know it's not an official play.
I think it could be. I mean, I think it's. I think caginess and draws aren't no good to these. This is a shootout.
What if it's a new coach? What if it's a new manager?
Then that changes it. That changes it. That changes the whole thinking of the bet. But if these 2 current managers are in charge, this game is going to go over 3 goals. If there's a change of manager personnel, I wouldn't play it. I don't know what Jack's thoughts on that. But I think here, I looked at Wolves, listen to this. They've played 16 matches this season. They scored 6. They've conceded 6 once. They've conceded 5 once. They've conceded 4 twice. They've conceded 3 twice. And this is how they scored. They've scored 2 goals on 8 occasions. They've scored 3 goals on 1 occasion. And they've scored 4 goals on 1 occasion. So that's 8. That's 10 matches where they've scored at least 2 goals. And they've only won 2 of them. That's unbelievable, isn't it, really, when you think about it? How many goals they're conceding and not winning. So, yeah, agree with Jack. Over 3 goals at even money, but be very careful. If managerial changes do occur, then I wouldn't bet it.
Nigel, how'd you price up Jack making the Christmas do?
Well, I think he's a big outsider.
Do you know what I mean? Before we started recording, I thought, I owe Jack some money, so I thought he's definitely going to come up. But B,
you were the one who said you had a friend.
He'll be there.
Now I know why Dan said he had 2 vegan friends who will take your celeriac because you owe him money. He didn't want you there. He said I knew 2 vegan mates who come.
After he coughed and spluttered his way through the show,
I think
Jack, are you coming? TBC.
Doubt. To be fair,
fitness test. Get him running up and down South MP. You'll be all right.
Dan, he may turn up. The manager might just say, "Listen, lads, it's for the best of the team. You must stay home. I don't want to be getting that over Christmas, do I? Yeah, you know what
I mean? Just on the dress code, fancy dress, I believe. I told Simon Holden it was fancy dress, Nigel.
Well, he's had the fancy dressing invite for everywhere he goes. So he has it everywhere he goes.
Many thanks to Nigel and Jack. Great stuff. We'll keep everyone up to date with our X feeds. Get your comments in the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Really good show as per usual. We wish you well with your selections. Tag us in as per usual. Back next week. Same game parlays, picks, plays, hot dogs. We've got the live show every single midweek at 11 a.m. as well. Follow us at Because We Win. And we will see you all again next week. From all of us now, though, it is goodbye.